into. I'm trying to steer away from ecology because आपका दिमाग already पका हुआ है इससे, you know. So I am saying that the ecological damage is there. It's the monoculture. You know, it's that's not how nature works. But the most profound other effect that it had was it created a sense of the boundary. So can you guys show me any boundary in reality?
So, for example, my body. So my boundary is my body. This is my boundary.
So I would say
you can see it. You know, my hands.
Yeah.
This is the boundary edge.
So that's a good way to put it. So is Bansur only up to the skin? Let me stand up. Does Bansur end here? It stands for one person. But I just told you, this is not one person. You arbitrarily made a boundary around it and say, no, this is one person and his name. The name is a label. It's symbol. How many joins? They're all joins. But there's nothing in common between them. Even if they're twins, you know. So it creates the idea of names. So these are all symbols. Alphabet, word, number. Can you show me two of anything? Identity.
Two books.
Wrong. So, and
So
obviously,
you cannot have two identical things of anything. Even two grains of rice are not the same.
Nothing is the same. So the concept of two, when we think that maths is the most,
Two apples.
is the purest.
But they are not two same apples.
One is green, one is slightly sour, one is slightly dark, one is this. Can they have the same dimension, same tone, same? If one is there and one is here, identity. Imagine that there are all the magicians, texts in the world have managed to manifest. I grant they are identical. You can weight, reflectivity, diameter, height, and a cold wind blows from it. Which class will get first?
Are they connected to you in any way? Is it something you observed?
So, around the time when my land was going to be acquired, and I realized all these things about injustice, inequity, you know, the kind of rapacious things that civilization is doing, I used to try and communicate this to people. But I was not a very handsome man. So one is paranoid and one is clinically depressed. Abhay and Sonal are two halves of my character and two parts of my life. I was going the Abhay way. I thought one day I'll get to know everything in the universe. That was me. One day we will crack it. We will solve it. And then this journey happened. Of my land and all that. And I became aware, no, it's not like this. So then I went on the solar journey, which was, so I was part of many people's movements. I've been on dharnas, I've been in submersions, I've been close to a lot of thinkers that whose thoughts I never imagined. So that is the difference between Sonal and Abhay's character, and I've experienced both. So one thing I realized, that Sonal's character is a self-destructive character. And if I had gone on that journey, I would have surely done something right. But then people said, go in the parliament. So I controlled myself, and that's why Abhay and Sonal, though they are both characters, to understand. Then she said, oh my God, I was just a person thinking of morality, environment, human injustice, but ye to kahin baat is great. But for paradigm shift, it's not. And at this level. I don't mean paradigm shift by a communal guy realizing, why do I hate Hindus? Why do I hate Muslims? I'm not talking about that kind of paradigm shift. This is a paradigm shift of every aspect of your belief. So it was that's what took me a long time. But I knew that there has to be a balance. And luckily, and I couldn't have planned it. that I could break.
Oh, acha. Okay. So the book is actually fiction. So it's entirely fiction, but it's set in a lot of research must have gone into this book. So before I read, I just want to ask you, who are the authors you read to research this topic? Because while the topic is real, the storytelling is fiction. It's told in a fiction world.
So one is that Vasanam triggered this journey of mine. But then I read widely, so it's not like I got it, but I had to understand it from every dimension. So I read, and these authors nobody would have.
No, yeah, so they're specialized writers, yeah, sure, but
yeah, I can't help being a bad boy. So the thing is that these writers, you have to find them. You have to seek, you have to go down the right, and sometimes a friend might suggest you, but you won't come enter a bookshop like this and find it. So because of my thing, land going, I was looking at these kind of sites. There are only 4 or 5 people. There's Charles Eisenstein, there's John Zerzan, who's given a blurb from it. That was a huge moment for me. There is Derek Jensen, he's also given a blurb. Then there is Daniel Quinn. If you guys are thinking of reading any of these people, I'd suggest you read Daniel Quinn's Ishmael first. Because it's very tastily written.
tastily written.
Yeah, and it's something that it's a good launch pad.
So is this actually? I find it quite tasty. So, present October 2007. She had to talk to him in that park that had been her Saturday morning routine. She had come to terms with the late morning joggers, the urchins, the birds and the stray dogs, but not him. For some inexplicable reason, he stood apart. Her mind could not fathom why. Maybe it was the way he clutched that briefcase of his, and he would open it and look into it but never take anything out. The rest of the time he spent sitting still, occasionally giving a quick look over his shoulder, then easing back into stillness, waiting. For whom? Now she counted up the grains carefully at the pigeons flocked near her, waiting to be fed. Each one got an equal share. She watched them peck hungrily and nibbled at his sandwich. It was a perfect circle by now. Then she spotted him, heading for his favorite bench with his briefcase stiffly held close to his side. How could she possibly ask him what was in his briefcase? She had not spoken to anyone except her family for so long that she did not know what people said to each other. But it was the only desire that had sprung in her mind in a long, long time. And now, here he was, entering the park. Would she have the gumption to ask him? Instead of sitting at his usual place, he cut right through the park, a marked deviation from his weekly routine. There was a definite purpose in his movements. He stopped near a pile of long, colored plastic pipes stacked on the side of the road. Casting a quick look around, he lowered his brown leather briefcase to the ground and sat down gingerly on the stack of pipes. His hand slipped something out of his pocket, then fell by his side. He began a slow, covered but strenuous action that was reflected mainly by the set look on his face. She forgot all about his bag and its possible contents, peering at his new activity with unconcealed interest. The strenuous action stopped, and he got up. A section of the pipe he had been sitting on was now dangling from his right hand. That's when he noticed her. His eyes froze on her as though she was the guilty one. Without taking his eyes off her for even a moment, he walked down a path that circled the park towards her. She watched him with a growing sense of panic, till her breath became short and uneven, but she did not move. And now he was close enough to whisper audibly to her. "It's alone," he said, gesturing to the piece of colored pipe in his hand. She was self-conscious. She self-consciously passed a hand over her blue-cut hair, coupled with the gaunt features that gave her a punk look punk look that somewhat said she was not to be trusted. She remained silent and he continued, "I'm not stealing it. I need to borrow it. It's just a loan." I did not think you were stealing, but you were looking at me. Why? I was wondering what you have in that briefcase. She could not believe she had actually said that. How audacious. How audacious she would have normally thought. But she held a gaze. It flashed fear, surprise, and then plain contempt. She did not know what caused each emotion, but she just looked back at him. She had asked an honest question, and that was that. "You have no right to ask me that," he said. A hint of aggression, but it appeared to stem from latent fear rather than indignation. Somewhere deep in her subconscious mind, she eased up and was not scared of him anymore. He walked away, clutching the briefcase a little more firmly, and tried to conceal the colored pipe by holding it close to his body. She watched him disappear down a lane. She was not disturbed, but in some distant way reassured. The morning continued as usual. So these are the two characters, I guess, which, in fact, that's the start of the book, the first 2-3 pages. So, any other questions, guys? Yeah.
Does not make the world. It's the energy that makes the world. So, do you eat 1,000 rupee notes? No, I mean,
No.
now they are not printed.
So now we can eat
I
them.
finished them. So, you obviously buy something. Money is a map of value. But we've started believing in maps so much that for us money is not assume that 10,000 crores worth of resources is available. Just because I give you 1 lakh crores, it means the resources will suddenly multiply, The real world is the real world. But I went to IIT, all the IITs, I challenged them, I said, you are the guys who do it. Because you're not making them aware that this is it.
I think इसकी औकात इतनी है.
I knew. So it was very conscious on us that I was in short terse, and sometimes sardonic.
There's movement. There's movement in the.
There's movement. Yeah, no, I know. Since you're asking about it's a sad thing for her. So we ran a farm store. And that's how I met a lot of people, because I'm a very antisocial character otherwise. But we meet in the same environment.
Reach a larger audience.
Of course, the movie is a wider audience. But I was trying to tell you the limitations of each medium.
Yeah.
You see, you might think that talking face to face is a very weak piece. You can only talk to so many people. But there is a certain power. You can see my body language. You can hear the intonation of my voice. I'm expressing emotion and it.
You will hear the intonation of a voice when you put the mic up.
It's a by the way, I have a sixth sense. No, not sixth, seventh. When I look at somebody, I can make out what's going on in their mind. So be careful. Be careful. Jen.
It is just it's a revelation, I would say.
And how does it travel to your friends in America? कौन ले जाता है? तो इंटरनेट बोलता है आया नहीं था. But he had connected his computer to some phone line and some, I don't know, these engineers who work these things. So he had got internet and he was the only guy who had internet. As in, so it had everything. What I meant was that in realization, things that Mathu says, बिल्कुल थोड़ा टाइम लगता है समझ में आने.
ये तो बहुत presentation.
On how we look at life itself. How we look at life itself, forget everything else. And he's written that with these delicious characters, which make it very, for me, made it very engaging, and I was attached to the characters. Actually, but I want to give it a shot. और यहाँ पे दो चार डायरेक्टर भी हैं, राकेश है, आशुतोष है, राजू भी आने वाला था, मंजीत is we'll all plan. It's a great story, so I think it will be a great film.
and I would like to give it a shot and try. Good three.
Are there any good things in civilization?
Three good things that civilization has given us.
I don't think it has given us any. I want to talk about nice question.
Yeah, it's a good question.
Okay, अक्सर हम लोग बोलते हैं यार this is ज्ञान. So discover you are discovering it design and internet and social media and using direct. This is also the same in this one. You can check the same each asset. And that's why we have duality as a subject. Dualism. But department of dualism. In the rest of the world, you know what I mean? So, if you went into a private village, they got this disease from us. Why didn't the disease happen there? And this was used, cholera blankets, I'm sure you heard of it, in the domination of the Native American. It was used as an instrument of war. You know, the Sentinelese Island is an island 1/6 the size of Bombay. Because Europe managed to land the India Pacific under the ground.
No one has survived.
Because you know,
Coming back to
they look at it as a virus. You know, indigenous people do not have. So they are not trying to become civilized. हम लोग उनको डब करेगा कि हम लोग मंगल.
इसको इंग्लिश सिखाते हैं.
इसको इंग्लिश symbolic thought. So we are the virus. So I don't know to answer your question, but this somehow. Yeah. No, I'm just saying that my blank answer is nothing but answer.
So maybe one particular.
हाँ, ये civilization से एक तो अच्छी चीज निकली वन. The realization that the civilization is not good.
But
एक तो
इतना तो हुआ, इतना मानना पड़ेगा.
but unfortunately through symbolic thought.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
know that's the power that I have. I can reversing your mind.
seventh one.
I wish it go the other way around. Just symbolic.
Yeah. Thank you. ये मैं कल खाऊंगा, परसों खाऊंगा, मैं 3 महीने बाद खाऊंगा. ये फ्रूट अमेरिका में मिलता है, मैं उसको डीप फ्रीज करके यहाँ इंडिया लेके आऊंगा वगैरह वगैरह. ये सिर्फ हम करते हैं. ये जो खिलवाड़ है ना ऊपर वाले से, ये खिलवाड़ सिर्फ हम करते हैं और कोई खिलवाड़ नहीं करता. शेर जो है वो बकरी देखेगा, उसका पेट भरा होगा तो उसको अटैक नहीं करेगा. वो जब उसको भूख लगेगी, जरूरत होगी, तभी वो कंज्यूम करेगा. हम जितनी हमको जरूरत है उससे कहीं ज्यादा कंज्यूम कर रहे हैं. तो इसलिए सिविलाइजेशन जो है वो पृथ्वी को हम कहते हैं, पृथ्वी को जो हम लोग अटैक कर रहे हैं, उसको मिसयूज कर रहे हैं, वो सिविलाइज्ड आदमी कर रहा है. नॉन सिविलाइज्ड आदमी बिल्डिंग नहीं बनाता है, वो इंटरनेट नहीं यूज करता है, वो फोन नहीं बनाता है, वो लैपटॉप यूज नहीं करता है. वो जैसे नेचर के साथ रहना है वैसे रहते हैं. फिर कौन कर रहा है? नहीं, अरे बाप रे. आप ऐसे बोलोगे तो 3 घंटे का लेक्चर आएगा. जितने पढ़े लिखे लोग हैं ना, वो सबसे ज्यादा प्रॉब्लम वही कर रहे हैं. ये आप समझ लो बात. Actually, all of this just gets answered in the book. So when you read the book, you'll get these answers. I think that's a better way to put it.
School of that's suddenly realized the value of the primitive. When we did chemicals and when we were doing that through boundaries, then after understanding, these are the 5 steps. Sorry if you have the patience, but that covers it. Perception, this is reality. All of us first perceive reality through our senses. Non-symbolic. We smell it, which is called application, not technology. Because technology is a very deceptive. You only think of your kind of technology. So then comes that. अब जिस जो रूट आपने ली है, first step is outcome. What will be the? हम ये पहला वाला step बिल्कुल इग्नोर करें. आपका perception ही गलत है, reality. आप जाने नो, it will more science. More with science, which causes it. Will do more technology. Which technology?
उसे मारते हैं, फ्रिज में रखते हैं, फिर उनसे क्रैश कर देते हैं. That is the reality of US आज के ज़माने में. और वो वहाँ बहुत सालों से है. लेकिन जब ये रिकॉग्नाइज करते हैं और हम ऐसा नहीं करते हैं, फिर वॉइड सा क्रिएट होता है. क्योंकि हमारे आसपास वही रियलिटी है. तो जब इस कैरेक्टर को जब आप लिख रहे थे, तो क्या इनके अंदर भी आपने वो वॉइड देखा, या आपके अंदर वो महसूस था वो वॉइड कि अब आप रियलिटी से अटैच हो रहे हैं, लेकिन एक मिथ रियलिटी है, एक रियलिटी है, और यहाँ एक वॉइड का कॉन्फ्लिक्ट हो रहा है.
भाई इतना तो luckily I didn't get started. Would I have got complete? So I get what you're doing. See, I'm saying every word is very tricky. Huh? John Zerzan's got a wonderful line. You must read John Zerzan's book. You guys must. You're a book lover. Read John Zerzan. Read Derek Jensen. You know, read Charles Esses. ये तीन किताब and Monster Revolution. That, see, reality is just a word. So John Zerzan said, words conceal more than they reveal. In one sentence, he has summed up the whole rust of his essay called The Failure of Symbolic Thought.
That's the name of the book.
तो या तो आप पूरा पढ़े Failure of Symbolic Thought,
या वो एक
या
लाइन
आप एक लाइन पढ़े Words conceal more than they reveal. I love it. But when you're sick, I will come. But I love it. You know? So, words are slippery containers. So, what I mean by reality is not your reality versus my reality. Everybody has their own reality in the sense कि आपकी life की reality है. वो reality की मैं बात नहीं कर रहा हूँ. मेरे पास कम पैसे हैं, आपके पास ज़्यादा है, ये जो भी तकलीफ है, whatever. So that's your personal reality. I'm not reducing reality to that kind of reality. I'm talking about the reality of the ultimate reality, the totality of everything. And how does it behave?
Mike.
Because the only one thing that I know about reality is that it's interconnected. It is seamless. And that's
Everything is
all I
interconnected.
need to know. My dog knows, my cat knows, the frog in my garden knows, but we don't know. That's the reality I'm talking about.
Thank you. How lucky are we? एक तो दिमाग की खिड़कियाँ खुल गई, दूसरा we got to hear Aamir. And please do remember to buy a copy of the book and get it signed by
And
the
I
author.
read the free book, my first book. It's a black